The door frame is going in pretty well. As you can see here, I'm in the process of leveling it up, making sure all of the corners are square. And let me show you what I mean when I say square. It's a good idea to have one of these longer type squares. And what we do here is we line it up and make sure there are no gaps. You can't move this, and we're able to do that on both sides. It's going very well. It lines up quite nicely on top. As you can see, a tiny bit of a gap there, but not enough to make a difference. And then same on this side here, where it just lines up really nice and is completely square. So we're in a good spot there. However, I did make a rookie mistake, and it is costing me a fair amount of time. When I measured the rough opening, which is 82 inches high, I did not take into account the hardwood floors. So I should have made the rough opening 82 3/4 inches high. So when we got this door frame in, I was short on top. And that's a pretty big mistake because no way to get the door in, obviously. And there's only a couple of options that you can do. You can either rip out 3/4 inch on top there, which I was not going to do, or you can cut the jamb down, which means you may need to cut the door down because all that's going to change in the height. So I thought about cutting the bottom here, which would mean where the hinges are, those would also drop 3/4 inch, which would mean also that the door might have to be cut on the bottom. And if I cut the door on the bottom, that leads to the door handle would be 3/4 inch lower. So I really didn't want that to happen. So what I ended up doing is I took the whole door frame apart and I cut 3/4 inch off the top and brought that down. That way the hinges will stay in the same spot, and all I need to do is cut the top of the door off 3/4 inch, and you won't even notice that difference. Problem is, I've already done that and I ran into another issue. So let's go downstairs to my table saw and show you what happened. So we're down here and I just cut the top of this off. It's a nice clean cut, 3/4 inch, so it should fit in that section well, but check this out. We've got this little doorstop thing here that sits on the top, which I took out before I cut this down. Problem is, this material right here is so thin, it's just kind of a cardboard, and it's maybe 1/8 of an inch thick. So when you try to put this back in, it's just flimsy, which means I won't be able to use it. However, I was thinking about different ways how I could fix that because I do want to use those. And I finally came up with a solution. It's going to be a little more work, but it's going to be worth it. The end pieces here are solid wood. This piece here looks like about a 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, along with this piece here is 1 1/4, and it goes all the way down to give you support for the door. What I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to take all of this cardboard out all the way down to the end, very finely remove it, and then I'm going to take one of the pieces that I was using for my groove, my tongue and grooves that I created, which are these little 1 1/2 by 1 1/2 pieces. Let me show you what I mean. Boom, here. And I'm going to cut this down to size and shave it down to size. And we're going to glue it right back in between these two. And then I'll drill my hole in to put this back in. So I've created another half a day of work, probably a full day of work to get it perfect because I have 2 doors, but we're going to do it right and correct the mistake I made earlier. If you remember me talking earlier in a video about DIYers, how you are going to make mistakes, here's a perfect example of that. And I also mentioned that every mistake that you make can be corrected. It may cost you a little more time, but you can correct every mistake. And here's a perfect example of how we're going to do that on these doors. So that's coming down the line. First, I want to get this back up there and make sure the door fits. I'm speculating that's going to work out just fine, and then I'll give you an update soon. Until then. We got the doors in. It was almost an all-day affair, but at least they're in and functioning correctly. Let me show you how these work. So these are French closet doors. So when you open them, you open them at the same time, like I'm showing here. Sorry about that. And then when you close them, you have to close them together, and then they shut into place and they stay. So we'll get the handles on here shortly, and I'm going to do a little bit of a video on that. We're going to use regular handles to open the doors here, not dummy handles, and I'll show you what I mean by that when we get to it. So until then, it's looking good. We are going to now go pick up some molding. We're going to match the door frame here like I mentioned before, and then it will look really nice. So until then, we'll see you next time. I've gotten a lot of work done since the last video. As you can see, I picked up that molding and we put the molding around the outside of the French doors, which matches the molding on this door over here. And I went through and filled in all the nail holes from my power tool, and those have been sanded down and it's ready to be caulked and painted over those holes. And the seams here are ready to be caulked rather. Also did the same on the back side here. You can see there's a few gaps in here, but that will all be filled in by caulk, and then we'll go over and paint it, but it's looking pretty good. And we've got part of the molding done in the closet also, which is looking really good. I'm not going to do the back yet because that's where the organizer is going. So once we get the organizer in, we'll finish off the molding in the back. And then the only thing left to do here is to put on a quarter round, which will finish up the finishing on that. So that is looking pretty good also. So take one more look around. It's looking very, very nice. And can't wait to get some more progress on this. We are very close to being finished with this room. I just brought up the closet organizer that we're going to be placing into the closet here. And I am actually going to start that today and should be able to finish it within the next couple of hours. And we see we've got some closet made stuff over there. Those are the drawers that are going to go inside this.
Making daughter number one help with her closet.
Jazz, is it in there at all? You can tap it a little bit, not hard. Is it in there now? Mm-mm. Let's see.
Now it is.
Yeah. Good job. Oh. Want the finished side out.
Your two hands. Are you happy you helped?
That's all she wrote. Well, you can see that the closet organizer is going in, and we finished the molding and base molding prior to getting that in. Even got it in against the wall on the bottom of that, so that looks really good. What we are going to do now is finish that off. We've got 3 drawers to put in, those 2 plus the one I took out of the box already. We've got these top shelf units that go with some of that items along with the rods. Those are going to be anchored into the wall over here and on top, so she has a little bit of storage. There's about 12 inches from the edge here to this slot here. So we'll be able to get stuff up there pretty easily. If we need to store small boxes and some more clothing up there, but it's gonna look nice. She'll have 2 racks on this side and single rod on this side, and it'll look pretty good. Anywho, I think we are going to wrap number 45 up because once again, it's dark out. So until the next one, peace out.